Today we're going to look at Lesson 12 of Module 2. The objective says, reason about the product of a whole number and a decimal with hundredths using place value understanding and estimation. Question number 1 says, estimate and then solve using the standard algorithm. You may draw an area model if it helps you. So our first problem here is 1 in 16 hundredths times 18. The first thing they want us to do is to estimate. So let's take a look at the first number, 1 in 16 hundredths. 1 in 16 hundredths is closer to 1 than it is 2. So on the first box, I'll fill in a 1. Now that we have a 1 in the first box, we can actually keep the 18 the same. 1 times 18 equals 18. Now let's actually solve. We have the problem set up, so now we'll multiply. 8 times 6 is 48. You bring the 8 down, you carry the 4. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 is 12. So you bring the 2 down, you carry the 1. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Now you bring down a 0 as a placeholder because the 1 that we're going to multiply by is in the tens place. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Now we can add. 8 plus 0 is 8. 2 plus 6 is 8. 9 plus 1 is 10, so you carry the 1. And 1 plus 1 is 2. The last thing we have to do is insert a decimal. If you take a look at 1 in 16 hundredths, you'll see that there are two numbers behind the decimal. We have to have two numbers behind the decimal in our answer, so I'll have to insert a decimal between the 0 and the 8. So, 1 in 16 hundredths times 18 equals 20 and 88 hundredths. I also have the area model set up so you can see it in a different way. What you do in the area model is you break the numbers apart. So, for example, on the left-hand side, you have the number 18 broken into 10 and 8. Above that, you have 1 in 16 hundredths broken down to 1, 1/10, and 6 hundredths. Now what you do is you multiply. Let's start with the 10. You'll multiply the 10 by each of the numbers above. So, 10 times 1 is 10. 10 times 1/10 is 1. And 10 times 6 hundredths would be 6 tenths. Now we'll take the 8 and multiply them by the three numbers above. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 1/10 is going to be 8 tenths. And 8 times 6 hundredths would be 48 hundredths. If you take these numbers together and add them up, we should get 20 and 88 hundredths. Let's add. 8 is in the hundredths by itself, so 8 plus nothing is 8. 6 plus 4 is 10, plus another 8 is 18, so we'll carry a 1. 1 plus 8 is 9, plus another 1 is 10, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. We insert a decimal in the same place as you line up your decimals when you add, and you get 20 and 88 hundredths, so it definitely checks out. Let's move on to our next question. Our next problem says, Marcel walks on the beach every afternoon. In the month of July, he walked 2 and 85 hundredths miles each day. How far did Marcel walk during the month of July? Let's go through there and find any information that we think is important. First, it says that he walks on the beach every afternoon, so that means every single day. He does it for the month of July, and he walked 2 and 85 hundredths miles each day. Now they want us to solve how far did Marcel walk during the month of July. We have most of the information that we need. The only thing that we don't know is how many days there are in the month of July. It's not given to us. However, that's something that you should know or you could look up rather easily. In July, there are 31 days. So what we're going to do in this problem is multiply 2 and 85 hundredths by 31. With the problem set up, let's solve. 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 8 is 8, and 1 times 2 is 2. Bring down your 0 as a placeholder, and now let's multiply the numbers by 3. 3 times 5 is 15, carry the 1. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 1 is 25, carry the 2. And 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. Now we'll add. 5 plus 0 is 5. 8 plus 5 is 13, carry the 1. 2 plus 5 is 7, plus 1 is 8. 8 plus nothing is 8. Now we need to insert our decimal. We have 2 numbers behind the decimal, so we need 2 numbers behind the decimal in our answer. Therefore, 2 and 85 hundredths times 31 is 88 and 35 hundredths. Our next question says, a gallon of gas costs $4.27. CJ puts 12 gallons of gas in his car. He has a $50 bill. Tell how much money CJ will have left or how much more money CJ will need. Show all your calculations. This is an example of a question where there's more than one part to it. The first thing we need to do is find the information that is important. We know that gas costs $4.27. We know that CJ puts 12 gallons of gas in his car and that he has a $50 bill. We need to tell if he has any money left or how much more money he will need. So the first thing we need to do is multiply $4.27 by 12 gallons. Let's solve. 2 times 7 is 14, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And 2 times 4 is 8. Bring down your 0 as a placeholder. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 4 is 4. Now we add. 4 plus nothing is 4. 7 plus 5 is 12. Carry the 1. 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. And 4 plus 1 is 5. Now we have to look again at our original decimal, $4.27. There are 2 numbers behind the decimal, so our answer has to have 2 numbers behind the decimal. So when I insert it, I get $51.24. We're halfway done with this problem. CJ only has a $50 bill, so he doesn't have any money left. In fact, he went over how much money he had. What we need to figure out is how much more money he will need. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the $51.24 and subtract $50 from that amount. Now we can subtract. 4 minus 0 is 4. 2 minus 0 is 2. Bring down your decimal. 1 minus 0 is 1, and 5 minus 5 would be 0. So now I'll insert my decimal place. CJ will still need another $1.24 to finish filling up his gas tank. Let's move on to our final problem. Our final problem says, Sammy drinks a glass of orange juice every day that contains 5/10 grams of vitamin C. He eats a serving of strawberries for a snack after school every day that contains 45/100 grams of vitamin C. How many grams of vitamin C does he consume in 3 weeks? Let's start with the information that we know. Sammy drinks a glass of orange juice every day that contains 5/10 grams of vitamin C. He eats a serving of strawberries for a snack after school every day that contains 45/100 grams of vitamin C. The everyday part is very important. And then it says how many grams of vitamin C does he consume in 3 weeks. So what we need to know here is how many days are there in 3 weeks. 3 weeks is equivalent to 21 days. Now we have all the information that we need. There are 2 different ways that we can solve this problem. We can add the 2 amounts of vitamin C together, the 5/10 from the orange juice and the 45/100 of vitamin C together from the strawberries, and multiply them by 21, or we can multiply 21 by 5/10 and by 45/100. I think I'm going to show it both ways. Let's start by multiplying 21 days by each part separately. So we're going to have 21 times 0.5. And this is going to represent the vitamin C that he gets from the orange juice over 3 weeks. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. Bring down a 0 as a placeholder if you wanted to, but 0 times anything is 0, so we can actually stop right there. We have one number behind the decimal, so we need to have one number behind the decimal in our answer. So we get 10.5, or 10 5/10. Now we need to multiply 21 by 45 hundredths. Five times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. Bring down a 0 as your placeholder. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. In this decimal, you have two numbers behind the decimal, so let's add and then we'll put our decimal in. 5 plus 0 is 5. 4 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 1 is 9. As we said, there are two numbers behind the decimal in this problem, so we have to have two numbers behind the decimal in our answer. And we get 9 and 45 hundredths. Now we can add those two totals here and here together. So we have 10 and 5/10 plus 9 and 45 hundredths. 5 plus nothing is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. Bring down your decimal. 9 plus 0 is 9. 1 plus nothing is 1. So Sammy takes in 19 and 95 hundredths grams of vitamin C over 3 weeks. Now I'm going to show you the alternate method, where all you do is you would add the 5/10 and the 45 hundredths together, and you would have ended up with 95 hundredths. And then you could have multiplied 95 hundredths by 21. 5 times 1 is 5. 1 times 9 is 9. Bring down your 0. 2 times 5 is 10. Carry the 1. 2 times 9 is 18, plus 1 is 19. Add it up. 5 plus 0 is 5. 9 plus nothing is 9. 9 plus nothing is 9. 1 plus nothing is 1. You have two numbers behind your decimal, so you have to have two numbers behind your decimal in your answer, and you also get 19 and 95 hundredths grams. If you have any questions about reasoning about the product of a whole number and a decimal with hundredths using place value understanding and estimation, bring them in to our next class. This concludes our lesson.